Hello. Hi, Will.
Hello.
Hi, Christian.
Hello.
How you doing?
Oh, good. How are you doing?
Okay.
Corniest intro ever.
The inaugural Torch podcast, or the inaugural of the new Torch podcast, whatever this turns out to be.
I'm Tom. I turned into a girl. I have boobs now.
Right.
No.
Tom's voice got a bit lighter.
No.
Became rather effeminate.
I'm fabulous. Isn't that right? Is he playing that game again?
No, I'm not.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
No playing games while we're recording. It's
No,
impolite.
the phone is put down. I'm not playing the game.
No. Uh-huh. Ever since I told you about Shadow Fight 2, you can't put your phone down. The other day he was cussing his phone because it wouldn't charge and he wanted to play the game.
It's a battery hog, okay?
He actually said that the phone was at 17%. No, the phone was at 4%. He put it on the charger, went away for a while, came back, and it was at 13%. It went down when he put the phone on charge.
Yeah.
Stop playing. We are working. Stop playing the game.
I'm not playing the game. I'm not even holding the phone. You really need glasses.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
They're in the same room. I'm other end of the country.
Yeah. So we put the Torch podcast on hiatus for a while, and something happened, and we just had to. The thing that happened kind of sparked a lot of things that were on hiatus for a while at the Torch, and we just needed to talk about it. So what's gonna happen now is that instead of doing a weekly thing, we're gonna make a podcast once a month at the end of the month, and we're gonna talk about all the crazy stuff that's happened throughout the month. So yeah, that's gonna happen. And what happened, everybody? What happened this month that is something that we have to talk about, that all the internet exploded with? What happened?
Journalistic integrity.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
And trust issues with, what's it called? Non-investors.
And Kickstarter needing to lock down on their stuff. Although I can't blame Kickstarter, and nobody should blame Kickstarter, because Kickstarter perfectly said such and such and such a thing is happening, and we really, it's up to them to follow the rules. If they don't follow the rules, all we can do is nothing, because we laid out the rules, and you lot should have read the rules. Kids don't read these days, so. And what are we talking about? It's kind of gone quiet for a couple of weeks now.
Not a couple of weeks, a couple of days. It's only been a week since we found out.
Yeah, it's gone quiet for a couple of weeks now. What are we talking about? Journalistic integrity, Kickstarter, trust issues,
Money gone missing.
What are we talking about? Come on. You guys are smart.
Of course, it's the Yog Ventures.
Yeah, it's the Young Ventures.
Yeah.
And for those of you who haven't found out about Young Ventures yet, because you either don't care or just now being curious about it, Young Ventures is a game, or was a game, that I was pretty excited about, because I am a Yognaut, and I still follow, but not as frequently, because I have a life. The group Yogscast, which are a group of people who play video games on the internet, and they are funny. Well, one guy is funny, and the other guy is all right. And they put out in 2012 that there was a game that they wanted to do. It's called Yog Ventures. It's supposed to be Minecraft-like, but not quite, because it would have more than blocks and people could make their own maps and stuff. And they pledged $250,000, $225,000, and actually got $500,000. And a couple of days ago or weeks ago, we found out that it had been cancelled, and all of a sudden the name Wintercool has come up, and we don't know I didn't know who Wintercool was. I thought Yogscast were making this, but
I don't think even the Yogscast knew who bloody Wintercool was. It was a massive cock up in I think it's the expectation of Yogscast and of Wintercool, because from what I heard, the Kickstarter said something along the lines of, "Oh yes, we have this great team of people making this game, blah 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 blah, usual stuff." And it turns out it was only like 6 people.
There were 6 people, but greater things have been done with less. I mean, Notch, basically.
Yeah, he basically started out Minecraft on his own, and then he got a team of like 5 people and completed the game as we see it today. Now we have a lot more developers behind it, but up until release, it wasn't a big team.
Yeah. I mean,
and then we have DICE who made Battlefield on 4 people.
Yeah. It took a couple of years, but Minecraft did a brilliant thing of just releasing it, and in its pre-alpha stage, and the human imagination took over, and it was a big thing for very long. And now there are books and stuff that we keep seeing, Minecraft books, and I'm like, why would you need a Minecraft book? It's pretty linear to play. Come on now. But yeah, this thing happened, and the whole controversy around it isn't about the game not happening, because that happens all the time. It's not going to be the first game to not go into fruition. It's not going to be the first game that doesn't complete, and it's not going to be the last game that doesn't complete. What people are worried about, and there's a lot of speculation around, is where did $500,000 go? $500,000 go. And thankfully, the Winterfeld CEO, quotations, quote unquote, put a spec, a very frightening spec, up on the Kickstarter page that listed everything of where the money went, but there's still like a
100,000
missing. So where did that money go?
Then again, it's not certain that what Chris Vail said is true. It's a statement so far. But it's been a week and a half, 2 weeks since the announcement, and none of the Yogscast has actually come out with any statement yet.
It's very strange that the Yogscast, basically the brand behind this whole thing, they still haven't made a statement or an official
anything good, actually.
Yeah, they haven't given an official statement to sort of clarify anything, and it's just a lot of money has gone by, and this is going to take a huge dent out of their reputation.
Mm-hmm. It seems they haven't, because I've been checking their subscriber thing for a while, and it's gone up to. It's not gone up greatly, but it's people are still subscribing. But I don't know how the YouTube works. I heard that it's not like that, but the keeping quiet thing seems to be working, but it shouldn't be like that, because speculation is taking over, and people saying they did such and such and such. Like, I heard that it happened around the same time that they got Yogg's Towers and they got all this new equipment. So there's that theory going around that's not very good. That's not good for their reputation, and the internet is a place where people believe a lot of crap. So say something. Defend yourself.
Basically, for those who haven't read the update, and we will put a link to it down below in whatever box, there was an incident very early on where one of the artists had to leave the project, and thanks to a loophole in the contract, he managed to get away with the money that he got paid up front. This made Yogscast mistrust Chris Vail. They didn't believe he could handle the money. So they wanted to take all the remaining money. And keep in mind, this is early on. Instead, they negotiated so that the Yogscast would take $150,000 of the $500,000 given. $50,000 was budgeted for the backer rewards. $100,000 was earmarked to get the main developer, someone who was experienced in Unity and voxel engines and all of that, to do the things that Chris Vail, who's the only other programmer on the team, couldn't do. In Vail's statement, the $100,000 to be used for a main developer disappeared. That money is unaccounted for. Neither Chris Vail nor Lewis of Yogscast has mentioned anything about where these $100,000 went. All they both say is that the lead developer never got hired. So that happened around the time when Simon and Lewis left their basement and stepped out into the big world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they put on their big boy pants.
Yeah. So I've got 3 questions. 1, why didn't they keep a closer eye on this? After what happened, and I'm not going to drag up past issues, but something happened in the Yogscast past that would shake anybody's trust in somebody. I guess, personally, it would shake my trust to where I wouldn't really trust somebody with a huge amount of money. And if you guys want more information on that, you can go look it up yourself. But I'm not going into that. Why didn't they keep a closer eye on the finances? Wintercool should not have been the ones to keep the money. It should have been Yogscast doing that. 2, when they realized what happened, why didn't they say something to their backers, put out a video or write something on Reddit saying, just basically, they didn't have to say everything. They could have just said, oh, such and such a thing happened, the game might be delayed, and such and such and such, and so forth and whatever. Thus, quenching any speculation and reassuring everybody who pledged money to this thing. And 3, why don't they take the blunt of the blame? They're blaming everything on Wintercool, but from the outside, and this is shown through various media that basically swept over this thing, that they see Yogscast is the ones that are in control. They're the ones that are in charge because they basically gave their IP to somebody who said, we will make a video game for you and we'll do a Kickstarter and get the money for it. Their IP is on everything. So why didn't they take the blunt of the blame? It would have been over. They have so many fans, and they can just say, they can pull a Microsoft and go, "Oh, we made a mistake, but we're sorry," and it would have been over. So answer those questions. One, why didn't they keep the money and be in charge of the whole project?
I think that is because it was actually Wintercool that started the Kickstarter in association with Yogscast, of course, but it's still Wintercool's Kickstarter. It's still Wintercool's project, so to speak.
Yeah, it was just a third-party project.
Mm.
Yeah. However, you wouldn't know it from the Kickstarter or any of the...
Yeah, with the amount of branding they put on it. With the amount of branding they put on it, it was going, look, this is Yogscast game, look at this, oh, look at this, YouTube fan base must buy this game and pledge us money and give us money, and we're not making it, someone else is doing that, but it's our face, so it's just, so it's the Yogscast just sticking their face on it and going, oh yeah, look, this is our fantastic game, but we have no say in how this turns out.
Yeah. The logo is Simon's cartoon face. The official website for the project is yogscast.com. When you want to contact them, their contact is at yogscast.com. So everything points to Yogscast. It's just that there's a little notion on the side of the Kickstarter saying project by Wintercool Games.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing that even shows that it's Wintercool. I mean, even the beta was put out on yogscast.com. So, of course, everyone believed it was Yogscast game. It's their name, it's their faces. They hold the contact details.
Yeah, but if you have something like that, you still would have put really, you still would have kept a really close eye on things. If I gave Will something to do that I'm really excited about, and I know the readers of The Torch would be really excited about, I'm going to be poking him every 5 minutes to make sure that he's up to date. What's happened? What have you done? Poking him every single day, because this is something huge. This is something that you've wanted for a really long time. I remember them talking on the Yogpod about how they would love to have a Yogscast game.
Yeah, I just think this is a third-party game that got slightly out of hand because it was going to be made by a third party, no matter how it turns out. That's just how this sort of tie-in games and whatever. That's just how the ad works. And so it's going to be a third-party game, but then it became so integral to sort of the Yogscast brand, and the Yogscast brand became such a tight thing with the game, then that was how it was sold. It was sold as, look, this is a Yogscast game. Yes, it is a Yogscast game, but it's a Yogscast brand game. It's not, and I think because that was the reason why I never really liked the idea of this, because having it being sold as a Yogscast game was going, well, you're just the face on the cover.
Yeah.
And that was all they were ever going to be. So it's the fact that they released the beta on their website and put all their pictures and stuff on the official Kickstarter and stuff, and said, "Oh yes, this is Simon's face on as the logo." It went too far.
Yeah.
For me, it feels like they kept Wintercool Games. They kept Chris Vale as Wintercool Games as a separate company, just in case this exact thing would happen. Because it was Vale and Lewis and Simon that sat down and did the budget. That this is all in his statement, so this could be wrong info as well. I'm just putting that as a disclaimer, but that's all info we have about what happened behind the scenes. Is that Yogscast and Wintercool made the budget together. They made all the advertising materials together. They did all of the Kickstarter things together. They did all the planning together. And when things went south, it was Yogscast that said, we don't trust you, Wintercool, with the money. We are taking the money, and we are taking care of the money from here on. Yogscast saying that. So I don't really buy this thing about Wintercool being a third party and third party development of the game. It feels more like it's Yogscast developing the game, but they are outsourcing just the coding to Wintercool.
Well, the
development part of it.
That sort of system of having of sort of dual financing the project and things like that. That's how tie-in games work, because it's a third-party company gets paid. It's like for the latest Spider-Man tie-in game, it was Sony budgets the game with whoever made it, didn't like it anyway. So it's they budget with them, and then the developer goes off with the budget, makes the game, comes back with the product, and go, look, this game is to your specification. Because that's usually why these tie-in games don't. This is why these tie-in games are crap.
Yeah, but the IP rights holder doesn't get to say, "Oh, you, the development company, we have lost trust in you. Therefore, we are gonna take all your money."
Yeah, that was the fault.
That never happens.
Yeah, that was the fault of Yogscast. It's the fact that Yogscast suddenly just went, "Oh no, this is a bad idea," and then suddenly just it was like they from all the information I've seen, it was like the game went into development, and then after the beta went out, they suddenly just went, "Oh, this is a bad idea," and then they suddenly just almost tried to bail out of it.
Yeah, I forgot about it. I remember sometimes, like in mid 2013, sitting down watching Yogscast videos and thinking, didn't they have a game coming out? And I searched Yog Ventures to make sure that I wasn't hallucinating, and I went and I saw Yog Ventures and I was like, oh yeah, they totally did. Okay, I'll go to this Kickstarter page. And then there was it was only for paid for those who backed the project, but there was actual beta out. So I was like, oh, there's beta out. Brilliant. It'll be, I don't know how long a game takes to make, but it should be out on the shelves from maybe early next year, late 2013, early 2014, if they've got beta out. And after that, we just didn't see anything else until I actually saw the post that you did on your Facebook, Will, about Yog Ventures, and I was like,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, this whole Yogs Ventures thing, I never really did like the idea of it, because because during that time and stuff, loads of other YouTubers, just like the one that I distinctly remember was Chimney Swift, who was doing Kickstarter stuff, going, "Oh yeah, look, I'm actually gonna make proper. Can you give me money so I can actually do a proper film rather than just game stuff," which is fairly standard. Loads of the people do that. It's usually privately, but whatever. And so as soon as I saw this Yogscast thing, I thought, this is just a way of milking the audience. This is not going to end well, because it was a way to sell the brand, and that was it. And it just didn't look like it was going to end well.
And so second question, why did they keep quiet about it for so long? They know from the whole thing with Notch and Minecon that they are journalistic gold right now in the gaming world. When that thing happened with Notch, They had Machinima reporting on it. They had tons of people reporting on it. Loads of people were talking about it for weeks. Why didn't they say anything? Like, seriously, why did they let the speculation get so far? Because, in my opinion, if Yogscast had said something earlier, they could have reassured the backers, because even though the backers didn't have the game, they still could have gotten the t-shirts, they still could have gotten posters. I know some people who pledged $10,000 each wanted their reward was having lunch with the Yogscast. They still could have done that. They could have said the game is unfortunately in this kind of state, but we will still give you your rewards, your perks. Yeah. And when Tug came to light, they could have made another video explaining, Yogs Ventures is still not, where we want it to be, but there's this other game that we're involved in. It's called Tug. We'll give you, for those of you who pledged such and such amount of money, and for those who backed the game, we'll give you Tug. We'll give you free keys for Tug. And that could have softened the blow, in my opinion. It still would have had a lot of people pissed off, but it wouldn't be the hype that it is now. It wouldn't have blown up as much now, as long as they had talked, as long as they would have came to, would have went on a camera and said something, let the backers know, because backers are edgy people. They put money into this and now they're not getting anything back. And a lot of people are feeling really, really bad for the people who pledged $10,000 and $5,000 and $2,000 because they've lost a lot of money on this thing. So, what's your thought about that? Why did you think that the Yogscast didn't come out and say anything earlier? They could have stopped all the speculation dead.
I think they're afraid of being in the wrong. It's well, not necessarily being in the wrong, but they're afraid of, if they come out and say something, they're going to get screwed with it. And so I think they might be thinking they're damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of scenarios, and and I think they're probably thinking, if we stay quiet, everyone's going to get really cagey with us and very dodgy with us and all sort of things. But if we say something, we're going to get nailed with what we say anyway.
Yeah, but they're getting nailed with the speculation that's out there.
Well, yeah, because that's the sort of thing I said. It's the damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of scenario. So I think they're staying quiet because they're afraid they're going to get done either way.
But there has actually
they would have been done anyway when people found out that the game wasn't where it was supposed to be. But they could have softened the blow. It was going to be angry people everywhere. But as long as they had said something, it would have softened the blow.
Yeah. They did say something. I found a very far back thread on Reddit just now. Apparently posted 9 days ago by Lewis. Trying to talk about what happened with the $100,000 at least. But again, he's pushing it all on Wintercool, saying it's Wintercool's fault that money never went anywhere. They found several programmers, but none of them were to Yogscast liking. Some of them were to Yogscast liking, but they didn't want the mission. And one person wanted the mission, and Yogscast liked them, but Wintercool said no. And then they just dismissed everything else by there were no further funds requested from Wintercool.
Okay,
but that is in response to Wintercool himself saying late 2013 there was still no programmer hired.
Okay, one. Wintercool loses 35,000 to an artist, and they wouldn't ask for the money back. Why did they have a say in it in the first place? Why was he having a say?
Because it was third-party development.
Yeah.
The budget is made by Yogscast, but the people who spend the money is going to be the company that makes the game. So
it's already proved that he's inexperienced to do everything. He lost a good portion of 35,000 is a lot of money. Okay.
Then that's at the fault of Wintercool Games.
Yeah. And he said himself that he was inexperienced. They finally got a lead developer. So why didn't he just sit back, shut up, and let the developer do what he needed to do? Because he was talking about in the quote that he had to take on the bulk of work. The man was getting divorced. Why was he refusing a developer when his job and his wife were in danger? Why was he saying anything? He should have just sat back and shut up. And that's even if what Lewis says is right, because if the guy was a rational person would think, oh, I'm about to lose my job, I'm about to lose my, happy home, I'm not going to concentrate on this game anymore. I'm just going to concentrate on what's happening. If they find a lead developer, great. He can finish the game. I'm going to concentrate on my life because my life is in a shambles. Any rational person would think that.
But if he was the only developer, then he had to keep going. Otherwise, there would be no game.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, Lewis stated here that they found a developer, but that Veil refused him. That's a conflict in my head. Why did Veil veto this person? Was he not? Didn't he have the required? Wasn't he a Unity programmer or something? Was he too inexperienced? I don't know.
Yeah.
Veil shouldn't be saying anything in the first place because himself is inexperienced.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So this person must have been very, very poor for this job.
Yeah,
for the $100,000 job.
Yeah, I do find that very odd. I think that's how this whole sort of Yog Ventures thing can be. This whole sort of fallout from this Yog Ventures thing can be sort of summarized. Everything's all just very odd. There isn't a distinct bad guy, but no one comes out of this clean.
No one comes out of this clean. Wintercool is an idiot. They're idiots. I'm sorry, but you can't do something like that. You cannot take such a massive project on and then be stupid about it. And Yogscast cannot sit there and say, oh, he did it. Because that's like saying... There's an analogy, but it's a little bit offensive. I don't want to say it. It's like sitting there and saying a kindergartner... I'll make up another one. That a kindergartner spilt his drink because, he spilt their drinks. Because he's just there. You can't blame it on them without taking the brunt of you're supposed to be in charge of them. You're supposed to be the person that everybody sees. You are the front man. You can't just say, oh, it's their fault when everybody sees you as the front man,
What he should do is not say, oh, it's his fault. It's his fault because. That's the part he missed. He never explained anything. He just said it's all Wintercool's fault. Like he does here. It's all Wintercool's fault. Wintercool denied that. Wintercool had the full responsibility. It's Wintercool's fault.
Yeah, but you're the face of something. You are the face of something. Your reputation is going to be screwed because of this. Wouldn't you take this a little bit more seriously? Wouldn't you make sure that it all went according to plan?
But especially if you look at the background of everything. According to the statement, the 150,000 that Lewis now has confirmed was sent to Yogscast was sent there in late 2012. Why didn't they send out the physical rewards, which a third of that money was meant for, until this year? Why did they wait 2 years with it? Why did they wait until after they sent all that money to, what's the name? The developers of Tug?
Yeah, because I think this is one of the big problems, is that because there are no fine details, it all just comes down to it's their word against theirs. Yeah. It's just complete hearsay at the moment.
And because Wintercool have no backing and Yogscast have these kids and these adults and behind them, adults understand that things aren't black and white. It's not just oh, this happened because a lot of factors have to go into something for something to happen. But you've got kids who are backing Yogscast because Lewis said it wasn't their fault. For example, I went on a YouTube channel, their YouTube channel to watch something, and their comment field is filled with, some people are trolls, some people are, commenting on the video, but there are a lot of people who are deeply hurt that Yogscast have done this, and they're calling them scammers. And then you have one kid who basically said, it's not Yogscast's fault. It's not their fault at all. It's Wintercool's fault. Yogscast haven't done anything wrong. And I couldn't help, it's really wrong for me to think this, but I couldn't help think that this kid sounds like, a domestic violence victim.
Well, the thing that it sounds like with me, it sounds like back in the olden days where you were bought a console because you can only really afford one, and that person just defending that to the hilt. They don't need to. The company doesn't need defending. They make a crap ton of money already. They don't need.
Yeah.
They don't need defending.
I remember the whole Sega thing back in the 90s. I remember that.
Yeah, back when the Dreamcast died. It's that sort of mentality where you got the people who bought this Dreamcast. They're going, oh yes, I will defend it to the hilt. It is my console. It is the best console. And as soon as it dies, they still adamantly, vehemently defend it. And it's just the fact that that's because I think that's how some of these people are, especially on YouTube and stuff, because quite a few of them could just be kids and stuff like that, and Yogscast may be in the first lot they subscribe to, or the people they watch the most, and so because of that, they're sort of...
They cannot do no wrong.
Yeah, their personal emotions gets involved, which means they end up defending it to the absolute hilt.
Death. There's an example of this where they put out a song, Diggy Diggy Hole, for like the 1000th time, and Chris commented on it saying they've done this song before, and he even tells some people, there were 31 comments on his comment going, oh, shut up, oh, you remixes are done all the time. Yeah, but the remix, it's itself a remix off of a remix. And he even told them the song that it was made off of, but there was tons of, oh, troll is trolling, and you only have like 8 subscribers. What you can't say anything. And I just wanted to go on. I couldn't find the comment field again, but I literally wanted to go on there and say, one, if you were a true fan, you would be criticizing Yogscast because you are basically settling for all the crap that they've done over and over and over and over and over again. They cheat in their, the first 2 times they cheat in a game, it was funny. The 150 time they cheat in a game, it's not funny. It's stale. The first time they did the Diggy Diggy Hole song, it was awesome. They did a remix, it was awesome. Dan Bull came in and did a remix, it was awesome. The fifth remix of a remix of a remix, it's not that great. You're literally just beating a dead horse now. If you are a true fan, you want to see them progress. So you would be criticizing them, criticizing their stuff. The more that they see you criticizing their stuff, the more they want to pursue more, do something fresh, do something new. Now, you're just sitting there going, oh, this is so funny. You're so funny. Oh, you're so funny because you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you're poking the person beside you going, get it, dude, get it? He's a dwarf, so he digs holes, get it? But dwarfs don't really do that, get it? It's not, and they're literally cussing the one person who dares to criticize to make them better. He's not criticizing to be mean. He's criticizing to make them better.
Yeah.
That's how YouTube fandom is.
I think that's all fandom.
Yeah, the thing is, that's just how fandom is. You can put out the same stuff over and over again. Your fans will eat it up.
But
That's
what I like
just how it
about
is.
those kind of comments is, if we go back to the whole thing about Yog Ventures, when I put out the comment about that, and someone actually said, no, it is all Wintercool's fault.
Yeah, but that's
because this and this. And I said, yeah, but where are your sources for that? No, this is all... I came up with all of this. Okay, wouldn't it be better if you read up on the subject before you talk about it, especially if you claim to come with facts? Why would I need to read up on something just to have an opinion on it? And I just go, you're not talking opinion right now. You're talking fact. You're saying this is a fact. Then you need to read up on it. But people some people don't understand that, especially not in YouTube comment fields or any fan debate, that you actually have to read up on a subject before you come with what you call is fact.
Well, this sort of comes back to the idea of this going. It's they are the first thing they watch or subscribe, or their only regular thing, so they will defend it to the absolute hilt. And this is it's just when personal opinion on a subject becomes their way of interacting with that thing. It's with these Yogscast people, it's going like, oh yes, I watch them all the time, so they must be good, must be great.
Yeah.
And not necessarily. They could be bastards. You never know.
Yeah. There's an extreme example of that. On the Yogs Venture video, I can't find the comment again because I guess it was deleted or something. Somebody commented a year ago that it was never gonna. This game is cancelled. It's never gonna see the light of day. And all I said was, "Oh wow, you're psychic." And the comment after that, I got a ting on my phone, and somebody said, "It's not Yogscast's fault. Don't blame Yogscast. Don't hate Yogscast." I literally tried to comment. I never said anything about Yogscast. All I said was that guy was psychic. Where did all this hate for Yogscast come from? You need to read my comment properly. Nowhere in the letter words, you are psychic, the 3-letter words, did I put the word hate, unless, you're reading some kind of context that's not there.
It's sort of like why a while ago, when these arguments and stuff break out on Twitter and things like that, it just comes down to Twitter is not an expressive enough sort of medium to sort of get your point across with some sort of clarity, and people could then just end up falling in halfway through. This argument could be going on for ages, and valid points come before, and now it's just descended into naming Hitler. And then someone just jumps in and chimes in. It's like, no, hang on a minute, we said this days ago. Where the hell have you been? And
yeah,
it's internet comments is not the place to have debates or any sort of argument and stuff like that, because it isn't designed for that. And so you have these people sort of jumping in and sort of defending something or attacking something in the other sense, and then it just descends into, well, there's Hitler, really. You are literally worse than Hitler.
But the YouTube comments field is sort of designed for debates and opinions. There it is much like a forum where you can read the whole backlog of messages on that entire thread. And you have the subject right in the video.
Yeah, but it can easily descend into. It's like
of course.
It's like the YouTube comments are slightly better than Twitter, but even YouTube comments you can very easily descend into just lunacy.
Yeah.
So it's slightly better, but still not great.
Okay, so moving on to the last one, because we've gone on a bit of a tangent. Do you think that Yogscast should have taken the blunt of the blame, especially with their fan base? Obviously, people who watch them will watch them regardless. So if they had taken the blunt of the blame, it wouldn't have hurt their fan base, or it would have taken a little bit of a dent. People would have stopped watching a little bit, but they would have eventually come back, which always happens when you've got something like this, unless they feel really, really strongly about something. Do you think that the Yogscast should have taken the blunt of the blame instead of blaming it on Wintercool, on Chris? Because personally, I think it's a little bit cruel, especially after what the guy went through. But that's just...
Well, I just think they should take at least some of the blame, because it is a game with their face on it.
Yeah.
So it's a game with their face on it, with their brand, with their... Well, the plan was to be a game about them. So they should take at least some of the blame, because this is a game about you. You allowed this to happen, and you were sort of in the loop of the process. So Wintercool Games, they take some of the blame, because they almost swore then. They cocked up.
Yeah.
And so they cocked up. So Wintercool Games takes that, but that stuff happens most of the time. But Yogscast should take some of the blame as well, because they were part and parcel with the project.
They're the face of the game. They should have at least go, we're sorry that this happened. We will try our best to do something. And while I do kind of agree and do kind of understand that they are under no obligation to do anything about it, saying it isn't the greatest idea when people already think you're idiots.
Exactly. You shouldn't really go out with your first statement being, we don't need to take any blame, therefore we won't. But we don't need to compensate for anything. But here, out of the kindness of our hearts,
we totally will.
Here you have a compensation. By the way, it's that guy's fault.
Yeah.
That's literally the first thing. And they let that hang for over a week. And
yeah, and they still haven't ironed out the details even now as of recording.
Yeah.
I think that they could more than survive this.
Oh, they're not going to die.
They survived Notch, and Notch was a whole massive more entity. There were tons of people. They survived Notch.
I must have missed that.
And they will survive this. So, excuse me, taking the blunt or partial blame, because I personally think both are at fault. Yogscast didn't say anything, and they could have squashed any speculation. Excuse me. and Wintercools are flipping idiots for what they did. How are you gonna let somebody get away with 35 grand? Like, seriously. How are you gonna do that?
A very badly written contract.
Anyway,
it's fairly, yeah.
What I want to say to answer the question, should Yogscast take the blunt of the blame? I would say, although all these harsh words we've said today, I say no. They should not take the full blame. They should not take most of the blame. Even if they were the face outward and all of that, I still think it was down to Wintercool Games LLC to provide.
No, we're not saying that Wintercool should get away with it scot-free because they need to take the blame. They're at fault. They are.
But if I'm allowed to elaborate a bit.
Yeah.
The 100,000 that went missing, sure, that is a bit suspect that happens just around the time when Yogscast get their own offices and their deal with Alienware and all of that. But Chris Vale could just as well have come with recommendations for programmers. He could still have looked for the programmers. All Yogscast did was take the money with the promise of paying it out to the programmer. They didn't at any point, really, from what I could read, say that they would be the only ones allowed to look for a programmer. And that was the whole backbone of the project. Vale has programming experience. Neither Simon nor Lewis has programming experience. So, there you have it. The reason I think it's become this spectacle is, despite the journalistic background of Lewis, he seems to have no form of media training. And he keeps insisting on him being the one bringing the word to the people about anytime there is any conflict at all. None of the others have anything to say until Lewis has had his say. And you can look back on all the controversies. I think this is the fourth one since Yogscast started. And just look, Lewis is always the first to speak, and then the others come. Even if he takes time before he speaks, none of the others speak before he has had his say. But it feels like he lacks media training. He needs to be better at controlling what is said, controlling how things look, deflecting when someone says something. Because this just letting it wait, it isn't working.
It's not doing anything. It's not doing it. Letting it wait.
It's turning into a PR disaster.
Yeah, it is.
It's been 2 weeks and the topic is still hot.
Yeah.
I don't remember any controversy being this hot. And that's mostly because they are keeping quiet.
Yeah, but bad PR is good PR either anyway, so...
Not always.
Not for YouTubers. No, not for YouTubers. You can end their career. Yeah. And this is the reason why Yogscast need to really work out what the hell they're doing now, because if this drags on, this is going to fucking mutilate their viewer base.
And this came at a really bad time when they did that Yogs Discovery thing, and everyone is like, why? What are you guys doing? Fair enough, you need to make your money, but come on. Now, you even had Total Biscuit, who put out a podcast a couple of days ago saying, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, this blurs the line of journalistic integrity. This, even as soon as I heard about it, I just went, even I don't get that far. And because I don't mind taking money from developers whoever to play a game, but if I do take money from a developer, I will never review that game. That goes on to a list of games I will never review, even in retrospective, because that's it.
Yeah, basically. Example, I got a book from Penguin. I wasn't paid to review the book, but I got a book, free book from Penguin, and the book was horrible. And I tried so hard to find something good, but I just blazed that book on my review. I just blazed it. I did it in a kind way, but I did it nonetheless. And you kind of have to. If a book is that bad, if a game is that bad, and somebody's paying you to review it, you're being paid to honestly review something. People would either go out and say, "Oh, this game is not bad. What are you talking about? I'll go and try it out myself."
I just think, just the sort of the idea of being paid to do a review is just almost dishonest in itself, because it's like, oh yes, you are given a product and paid money to review it. It's like, no, that being paid money to review something blurs the line.
I think it's because when you're paid something, you are expected. You think that you are expected by the person who pays you to do a good, solid review of it. But I'm telling everybody now, and it might come back to bite us in the butt. I don't know. If you give us something to review and you pay us to do it, you're getting a honest review. If it's rubbish, we'll try. We do our best to make everything that we review fair and balanced. If there are bad bits, we'll tell the bad bits. If there are good bits, we'll tell the good bits.
Yeah, but there is another way to do it as well, and that is what happened with Microsoft and Total Biscuit, Angry Joe, and I can't remember the third one. But there were 3 players at one of the big game conventions around. They made videos of them playing a game which had Microsoft somewhere far back. They did their reviews, they played the games, and then Microsoft came up to them at this convention and said, "Hey, you 3, you did good reviews of our games. Would you mind taking this wad of cash?" And they said, "Sure, the review is already done. The cash can't sway the review. Because the review is done, the review is out already."
Yeah.
That's a way to get paid for good reviews. But
well, it's still a bit off. I just think reviews just should be separate from payment entirely, because then
yeah, of course,
perpetually
the review itself should be separate from payment. But I see no fault in getting paid for review after the review is done, being offered money, or people appreciating your review.
Yeah, it's slightly better than well, it's a slightly better situation than sort of just the money beforehand, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean, having a company coming up to you and say, "If you do this review, we'll pay you later," or even doing only positive reviews in the hopes that someone would fish you up. But doing the reviews you always do, like you've always done them, unbiased and everything.
Yeah.
And then a company comes and saying, "We appreciate that review you did a month ago."
But that really isn't sort of a way of doing a review or anything. That's just, well, it's like you said, it's a company showing their appreciation. Yeah. So it's not necessarily pay. That's a bonus.
Yeah.
But people were crying, "Oh, paid reviews," and it was the same with Total Biscuit again. When Total Biscuit ranted about Yog Discovery and saying, "Oh, they take a percentage," and of course, the game that they are taking a percentage for would be the game that they ended up putting out content for. When a choice between a game you like and a game you get paid to play, you will always choose the game you get paid for. And Lewis tried to deflect that time by saying, "Oh, but we have a video way back where Total Biscuit gets 1.5% or something like that, or 15% or something." So he's a hypocrite for saying that. But again, that's something from after the fact. That was not a contract made up from before the content was out. He didn't do the crossover because he got paid for it. He got paid for it because they liked the crossover.
Okay. We're running out of time now, so we need to wrap this up. I didn't notice that I was on the thing.
Oops, that's the time.
That's the time. I didn't notice that I was up on the recording thing. Sorry. I thought it was just voice. But yeah, that's it. That's everything that we've talked about. If you guys are interested in seeing or reading up more on what we've been saying about Yog Ventures, we'll put the link to everything that we know in the description. We'll put a description to the TB Total Biscuit podcast thing that he did about Yog Ventures, Yog Discovery. And anybody else want to say anything before we close up?
No, I think I got all ranting out. And if Yogscast is listening, I'm still a huge fan.
Yeah, don't still a huge fan. We're not taking it the wrong ways, but we're true fans. We criticize to make you better. Anything you want to say, Will?
Just keep reviews separate. That's it.
You've been listening to the Torch Podcast. I'm Kennie M.
I'm Morph.
I'm that guy. I didn't know it was signing off. Okay.
Yeah. See you later. Bye.
Bye.